Have you ever walked into someone's home and felt calmer? Like the air itself was breathing slower. The couch cushions are straight. The kitchen counter is clear. The bed looks like it belongs in a hotel commercial. And meanwhile, your brain is whispering, how do they do this? And why does it matter so much to them? Or maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you can't relax until the dishes are done and the pillows are fluffed just right. Maybe a messy room doesn't just look chaotic to you, it feels chaotic. Almost personal. Like your brain is being scratched the wrong way. We usually assume loving a tidy home is just about cleanliness. Or maybe control. Or maybe being a neat freak. But the psychology behind it is much deeper, more emotional, and honestly, more human than we think. Let me show you what's really going on inside the mind of someone who loves a tidy home. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and walk into your living room. There are clothes on the chair, yesterday's mug on the table, a random charger on the floor. Nothing dramatic. Just normal life. But instead of ignoring it, your brain zooms in. It notices everything. It doesn't scream, but it hums. A subtle tension builds. You don't feel lazy. You feel unsettled. That unsettled feeling isn't about the mug. It's about cognitive load. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment. Every object is information. Every pile is a decision waiting to be made. When there's clutter, your brain has to process more stimuli. Research from places like Princeton University has shown that visual clutter competes for your attention, reducing your ability to focus. In simple terms, a messy space makes your brain work harder. For someone who loves a tidy home, this effect is amplified. Their nervous system is more sensitive to environmental cues. Order feels like relief. Like turning down background noise you didn't even realize was there. Think of it like this. If your mind were a computer, clutter is like having 37 tabs open. You might still function. But everything runs slower. Tidying up? That's closing the tabs. Suddenly, there's mental bandwidth again. But it's not just about focus. It's also about control. Life is unpredictable. Relationships shift. Work changes. The world feels chaotic. You can't control the economy. You can't control what people think of you. But you can control your space. For many tidy home lovers, their home becomes a psychological anchor. A stable island in a stormy sea. When everything else feels uncertain, their environment says, here, at least, things make sense. This doesn't mean they're control freaks. It means they're self-regulating. When you organize your space, you're engaging in what psychologists call behavioral activation. You're taking small, purposeful actions that create visible results. You move a book. You wipe a counter. You fold a blanket. And immediately, there's feedback. You did something. And it worked. In a world where so much effort feels invisible, that matters. There's also something deeply emotional happening. A tidy home often reflects an internal desire for harmony. Picture someone who grew up in a chaotic household. Loud arguments. Unpredictable routines. Maybe physical clutter everywhere. For that person, tidiness in adulthood isn't about aesthetics. It's about safety. Their brain learned early that disorder equals stress. So now, as adults, they recreate an environment that signals calm. Clean surfaces. Structured spaces. Predictable systems. It's not obsession. It's healing. And then there's identity. The way you keep your home is often an extension of how you see yourself. Some people express creativity through clutter, projects everywhere, ideas spilling out. Others express clarity through minimalism. When someone loves a tidy home, they're often aligning their environment with their values: simplicity, intention, discipline, care. Notice I said care. Because loving a tidy home is often an act of self-respect. It's saying, I deserve a space that feels good. It's lighting a candle after cleaning the kitchen. It's smoothing the bed not because guests are coming, but because you are. And here's something interesting. Studies have shown that people who describe their homes as cluttered tend to report higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Meanwhile, those who describe their spaces as restorative experience more positive moods. The physical environment feeds directly into the emotional one. Your brain doesn't separate outside from inside as cleanly as we think. The room becomes a mirror, and the mirror talks back. But there's another layer most people don't consider. Predictability reduces anxiety. Your brain loves patterns. It loves knowing what to expect. When your keys are always in the same place, when the counters are clear, when your space follows a rhythm, your brain relaxes. It doesn't have to search. It doesn't have to problem solve. It trusts the environment. In contrast, constant mess creates micro-stressors. Where are my shoes? Where did I put that paper? Why is this here? Each tiny disruption may seem small, but over time, they stack up. For someone who loves a tidy home, removing those micro-stressors feels empowering. It's not about perfection. It's about reducing friction. Now let's talk about the emotional stereotype. We often joke that tidy people are rigid, strict, maybe even boring. But here's the twist: many tidy home lovers aren't rigid at all. They're intentional. There's a difference between perfectionism and preference. Perfectionism says, if this isn't flawless, I'm a failure. Preference says, I simply feel better this way. A healthy love for tidiness isn't fueled by fear. It's fueled by awareness. Awareness of how environment shapes mood. Awareness of how space influences thought. Awareness that external order can support internal clarity. Of course, there are extremes. Sometimes tidiness becomes compulsive. When cleaning is driven by anxiety relief rather than enjoyment. When a single misplaced item triggers disproportionate distress. That's when it shifts from supportive to controlling. But for most people, loving a tidy home is less about pathology and more about psychology. It's about ritual. Think about how satisfying it feels to wash the last dish and see an empty sink. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You start with chaos. You end with order. It's a tiny narrative of transformation. Humans love that. In many ways, tidying is storytelling. You're rewriting the space. You're saying, this is how I want my world to look. And sometimes, that's deeply empowering. There's also a sensory component. Clean sheets feel different against your skin. A decluttered desk looks different to your eyes. A fresh-smelling room signals renewal. When someone loves a tidy home, they're often highly attuned to these sensory shifts. They experience order not just visually, but physically. It's embodied psychology. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever cleaned your room before starting something important? Before studying? Before working on a big idea? That's not procrastination. Well, not always. Sometimes it's preparation. Your brain is creating a mental runway, clearing the physical space to signal, we're ready. Order can act as a cognitive reset, a transition ritual, a way of closing one chapter and opening another. And here's the part one love most: loving a tidy home can also reflect hope. Because when you clean, you're investing in the future version of yourself. You're making tomorrow morning easier. You're leaving a gift for future you. A calm kitchen. A clear table. A made bed. It's quiet self-compassion. You're saying, I care about the person I'll be in a few hours. That's beautiful, when you think about it. But maybe you're watching this thinking, that's not me. I struggle with mess. I want order, but I can't maintain it. Here's the gentle truth. Loving a tidy home isn't about moral superiority. It's about energy, habits, personality, and life circumstances. Some brains crave visual simplicity. Others thrive in creative chaos. Some people have more time. Some are juggling 5 responsibilities at once. There's no single, right, way to exist in a space. The real psychological insight isn't that tidiness is good and mess is bad. It's that your environment is a feedback loop. If you feel overwhelmed, maybe your space is amplifying it. If you feel calm, maybe your space is supporting it. The key is awareness. Notice how you feel when your room is clean. Notice how you feel when it's not. Not with judgment. With curiosity. Because the mindset of those who love a tidy home isn't about impressing others. It's about alignment. It's about designing an external world that supports their internal one. It's about turning down the noise so they can hear themselves think. And maybe, at its core, it's about creating a small corner of the universe that feels intentional in a world that often feels random. So the next time you see someone wiping down their counter for the third time or carefully arranging their bookshelf, instead of thinking, "Why are they so obsessed?" you might think, "Ah, they're building peace." And if you're that person, maybe you can soften your own self-judgment. Maybe you're not. Too much. Maybe you're just someone whose nervous system loves order. And if you're not that person, maybe you don't need to become one. Maybe you just need to understand what your space is doing to your mind. Because at the end of the day, your home isn't just where you live. It's where your brain rests. It's where your thoughts echo. It's where your identity quietly unfolds. So tell me, when you walk into your space, what does it whisper back to you? If this made you see your environment a little differently, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you someone who feels calm in order, or creative in chaos? Let's explore it together. And if you enjoyed diving into the psychology behind everyday life, you already know what to do. There's a lot more about your mind waiting to be unpacked.